Right, we're on day 3. John and Jen have gone off for the steel because, of course, it's the Queen's Jubilee this weekend, so it's a bank holiday tomorrow, Thursday, bank holiday Friday. I've not realised this. Everywhere is shut tomorrow, so they've gone off to try and get the steel here, and I'm also going to try and get the rubber roof here as well. We're going to talk about timber before me and Davey start. It's always a good idea to try and keep it relatively dry. A lot of the timber is stored outside at the timber yard anyway, right? But there's certain elements of the pack that you want to keep dry. Other elements will it just makes working with it a lot easier as well. So I'm going to try and do this on my own. Watch all that water there, don't go on them batteries, Davey, when I get rid of this. It's alright, it's fine, it's fine. I'll do it a bit slow this time, yeah? Right, there's quite a bit of water there. It has rained. It's supposed to rain again today, although it's quite sunny now. Right, externally, outside at the timber yard, the 4x3 and the 4x2 will be stored outside anyway. The 5x2 is often stored outside, the C16 as well. The 4x2 CLS is generally inside, but like I say, it's easier to work with if you keep it dry. It's going to get wet anyway when you're building, so it doesn't really matter. But the one thing that is important that you must keep dry are the OS3 roofing boards, which are under there. As we go through the pack, as we start to use it, I'm going to talk about it in more extensively. Right, let me get a tape measure. You've got a tape measure out, David? Did I bring mine? Right. Yeah, so the 4x3, if David looks at the 4x3 now, it's pressure treated. It's been put in a tank, and it means that the treatment's been pushed right through the timber by the pressure tank. So we'll just measure there that ours is a true, I mean it's slightly under there, it's 2 mil under, but it's 100 and it's slightly under 3 inches there. So it's almost 4x3. But if you look down there, can you see the bend in that timber, Davey? Yeah? Yeah, I'm not going to worry too much about that because we will, there, look at it now. Can you see it now, Davey? Yeah, so that's particularly bad. But what I'm going to do with that 4x3, I'm going to run it down the 3 metre length sides because they're 4.8, so I'll be able to cut most of that bend off. That's a nice, decent straight one. So these 4x3s, they're actually a wall plate. So what they would do, they would sit on the breeze block wall on the internal skin of your house build, and then the roof rafters would be bird mouthed into them. But they're ideal for this situation. They're strong, they're big, they're beefy, and they're pressure treated as well. So I've got 3 there that are good straight ones, so front, middle, back, and we'll use these 2 for the side ones as well. The 4x2, again, it's green, it's treated. These are the only timbers that are actually going to come into contact with any moisture really, because they're on the base of the timber. But there is airflow under there. You've got about 2 inch at the shallow part over there, Davey, and I'm looking there, it's probably 5 inch at that back corner, maybe 6 inch dependent, I'm not quite sure. Right, so that's 4x2. I know that some of your 4x2 there, ours is a true 100 millimeters. Yeah, see that, yeah? I know some of yours are less, so if you get a 90 mil, you can always go down a 90 mil PIR for your base, or what a lot of people are doing, we put roof battens underneath to support the insulation to stop it dropping through. So they're packing the roof battens down 10 mil to allow the insulation to drop down, so the insulation is flush with the top of the 4x3s and the 4x2s, if that all makes sense. But I'll try and explain it a bit as I go along, as we go on. So what I'm going to do, we're going to drop this first one down, and then on the back one, Davey's going to start filming again, and we're going to do a full back timber, and I'm going to show you it dropping on the rods. Right, we've just put this one in. I wanted to try out this little saw before we videoed it, and to be honest with you, there was a little bit of a disaster with it. What happened is I just bought it, they hadn't tightened that nut, and as I were cutting the things, it all just fell apart. But it's sorted now. Right, so this one's in. We're going to drop back onto this little thing Ronnie's made as well, and another little addition he's made as well. Right, 4x3. It's 4.8. You can get them at 6 metres, but we've not had them at that length for ages. Luckily enough, this is a 4 metre, so we don't have to extend it. If you do extend it, you can use what they're called, stretch plates. Stretcher plates. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put it there, but it's rocking off, so I'm going to put that there. So Davey, come over at top, we'll be able to see. Let me show you something else Ronnie's made, which is amazing. Where the hell has it gone, Davey? Here we go. Right. he's made this as well. Yeah, let me show you what it does. Right, so Ronnie, who made the nut windy down thing, we'll have a name for that soon, he's made this as well. So that sits on your 4x3, that there stops it there, that there locates it on the rod, and there's your hole. So that hole now is dead centre to that rod. It's also centre-ish to the timber, depending how thick your timber is. Obviously some of you won't be getting full 75, but it doesn't matter because the shoe will accommodate the depth. But that there will bring that dead centre, and there as well. The only way it won't is when it falls where the nut is. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to scribe that one down, pop that one there. Again, this one's the same. I'm sure Ronnie will be watching this and his mind will be ticking away thinking how he can resolve that issue. But there you go, look at that, look. So if you're able to use on all of them, it actually drops it dead centre. Right, so there's the centre of your hole. So you need to find the centre so that your timber goes down dead centre and then sits in your shoes like that. So let's get that up there. I'm now going to find my drill. You need to be careful these rods, you don't fall over and land on one. They are quite dangerous. Right, this is a 25mm. I think it's a Bosch speed spade, but it's got a special name, I can't remember. Anyway, I'll go get one out the van in a minute. It's 25mm. The hole is 24mm. It's gone through like that, like butter, but the drill bit's brilliant, but so's the drill. It's a Milwaukee 5-amp battery. The one with the red ring on, it's... John will tell you the technical name. Right, what I've done there, I've sent the drill through slightly that way and slightly that way, just to widen the bottom to accommodate the rod, because of course that's 25mm, that's 24mm, so you haven't got a lot to play with. But if you put your rods in vertical, you won't struggle as much. Okay. It's at this point, when I put these videos on Instagram, it goes direct to my Facebook page, and then what happens then? It's fed to people for no reason whatsoever, like on Facebook. So people who don't know nothing about anything in this line of business start calling me a cowboy because I'm blasting through like that, but that's the way we do it. So. Right, so I'm going to now just roll it over, because these burrs here, look, where it's blown out, we don't want them to sit on the shoe because it'll hold the timber up. So I'm just going to take all them off. Right, there's a couple of ways of cutting these out now, because what you need to do is accommodate the nut, because when we put our 22mm flooring on there, we need that nut to sit down so the flooring flies straight over the top. So of course that's not going to happen. What we will probably do going forward, now Ronnie has made us that, rather than using the chainsaw, we'll probably drill a bigger diameter hole there, because we've now got the socket to put on, but we'll see how we go with that. So there's a couple of ways of doing it. There's this way, which I prefer. So there's that way with the chainsaw. Now not everybody's got a chainsaw. I bought this little one specifically for it because it's a bit more nimble and less aggressive for that. And there's also with the circular saw as well, if I can get one of them. Are they under there, Davey? Show me. Circular saws? Oh, right. So this is the second way of doing that, and my hammer, Davey, I know what that is, I've just seen it. Right, so you can take out with chainsaw. Not everybody's got a chainsaw. Where'd I put that nut, Davey? There's a nut. Or, I take the battery off that so there's no risk of pressing the trigger, or you can use a circular saw. Davey comes over here, he will show you. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to set the depth of the saw to the depth of the nut. It's slightly shallower than the nut because I know that I'm going to compress it down into the timber. So that's now set to that depth. What I'll do now is that blade's had a lot of use. It's absolutely crap actually. So normally you'd fly straight through there with that, no problem at all. And get your hammer. Now, it looks a bit rougher, yes, but it doesn't really matter. If you want to be anal about it, you can get your chisel out. But for all intents and purposes, that job is the same as that job. We've wound it down slightly high, but I know I'll be able to compress that into there. Or you can use a handsaw and a chisel, whichever you prefer really. Different options. I prefer the bigger saw, Davey. Might be a bit more. There's that option. I'll get the big chainsaw out in a minute, but I know the blade's knacked on that as well. Right, what you don't want to do is forget to put your shoes on. Yeah. Okay. Okay, right, they're all on. Try and get them in the direction they are running. Doesn't matter, you can give them a little kick once your timber's going in. A little burr of metal on that one, Davey. Right, won't you? Right, you can paint these up if you want in oxide paint, but if you Google rust rates, I can assure you it is not an issue. Right, timber. I know I can see the middle one there. Give it a little tap to go in. That one's almost in. That's in. That's in. That's in. Right, they're all set in, they're ready to go. If your timber's slightly bent or your rods aren't perfect, then it might need a little tap down. But it's not the end of the world. If it's not perfectly straight, it's not the end of the world either. Because once you put your floor on and get that back wall on, that's when you're going to create the straightness and the right angle. So when they go down, give it a little tap. You can see that end shoe now and that one. Just give it a little kick. It's obviously it won't go down until it's in line with the shoe. Talked about the shoes yesterday. I'm not going to rerun over everything, so if you're not sure about what size the shoes are, you need to watch yesterday's or day one. Right, that's down. Now, what we would normally do now is hand wind these nuts down, but of course Ronnie has come to the rescue with his amazing device. Loads of people have asked Ronnie if you make them to sell. I don't know if you want to start doing it, but they are a no-brainer. I think the resale market on them would be brilliant as well. So we're going to wind them down, but I'm not going to nip them off. because I'll explain that in a minute now. We're loving this, aren't we, Davey? Yeah. Like I say, when he put this on the Facebook group, there were a little bit of negative comments, and I thought, I've looked at that, I've done it 1,000 times, I know exactly where he's come from and how he's engineered it, and his engineering is absolutely to perfection. Ronnie himself is building a huge garden room. Hopefully he will put pictures on. Right, so I've not wound them down, I've not tightened them up rather, and I'll explain why in a minute, but let me just show you what else I can do now. So that's in, give it a couple of turns like that, and find something straight to run over top of that. So what you need is that nut, come here Davey, needs to be lower than that timber, see like that, so when the flooring goes over there, it doesn't catch on it. And that there now is actually holding that down to there. I'll tighten them three up. Right, I'm not going to tighten that one because when I put this timber down, if there's a variation of timber, I might need to lift that timber or that timber to get the top flush. That's why I've not tightened the end ones down. Right, so you put your front on, you put your back on. We're now going to put the sides on, which I said I was going to use that bent one, didn't I, Davey? Here's the bent one. Right, so I know that bend is at that end there. I'm going to put that there. I can afford to chop off. I don't want to be cutting there where that nut is because that's where that knot is because that's horrible. So I'm going to cut that there with the chainsaw just to get rid of that kink in that timber as well. If you've got the kink and you can't get rid of the kink, don't worry about it because once it's on and you've got it on your rods and stuff like that, you'll be able to straighten it up, no problem. But yeah, right. I won't lie, I don't know if I'm slightly disappointed with the power in that, but it is what it is. Right, so let's get rid of that. Somehow. Right, I'll put that on there. So, once that's there now, Davey, how many times have I fallen down the hole now? John's dug a hole there, look. The reason why he's dug a hole there is so you could take the turf out to repair the holes. I'm constantly falling down it. Right, let's go back to Ronnie's little gauge. Right, see how that is located on the rod? That there, Davey, can you see it? Located on the timber, boom. Located there, boom. Boom. And that is as accurate as you're going to ever get. Brilliant, really. Right, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put these here. We're going to video this right the way through because I did tell you I'm going to try and explain every little aspect of it to you. And there's nobody else here at the moment, so while we're not rushing it, I'll go for it. You clean out the hole there. Don't forget, that raffle's going to go Saturday morning. I don't know how long it'll last. It might last longer than normal. There's going to be a few more tickets this time because obviously when I delivered it, I lost a day's wages, fuel, stuff like that, so I need to recoup a little bit of money. And obviously the charity does well out of it as well. Everybody's a winner really. Only £2 to go. Right, that's that. We'll try the big one, Davey, yeah? The blade is blunt on the big one, I know it is. I've got some new blades in the van, but we'll see how that goes. Don't have enough of any petrol in it. Right, the blade's too blunt on that one. I'll get John to change them when he comes. Right, what I'm going to do, we'll get this one on. I'll show you how to put the full side on, and then Dave will keep filming, but I'll speed it up then. So don't forget to put your shoes on. If you don't put your shoes on, you're going to have a problem getting them back off to get your shoes on. Right, roll it over, make sure there's no burrs. Right, that's my highest rod there. Go for that one. On, lump hammer. I see there's a twist in this timber. See it pointing this way, can't you, David? Right, so obviously that isn't going to go down any further than that now because it's met the other ones. We join the corners with these 250mm screws. There you go, forge fast. 250mm. They're expensive, but that's the job they do. Right, so I've got loads of space on this. Sometimes we're tight up and I've got to think about where my impact driver's going to go in. So I know I can get my impact driver in there. It's good distance, it's not going to hit the rod. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to chop that off there. Yep, that'll then drop down. I'll screw into there and then I'll chop that off there as well. Same with this one. I'm going to send it that way, so I'll chop that off there. Then that'll get chopped off. Right, let's do that then. Let's do that, we'll screw them up and I'll show it, and then we'll go fast forward, yeah? That's there, they're going to go down now. Like I said, quite a twist in this timber. It's leaning over towards me, but it doesn't matter. Right, so they're down. Right, point proven over there, David. Can you see that? That's high, look. So I have to do a little bit of work to get that to work out. It's not the end of the world, it's just timber the way it is, the way it works. And again, it's not only to tie it in together, you know, it's not massively critical towards the build strength. Right, so let's see if I can do this on my own. Normally, Davey might have to stand on it and give me an hand, mightn't he? Right, Davey, just... You stand on that, see if it goes down at all when you stand on it, does it? No? Right, okay. You haven't done out. Right, I'll put that there. In fact, just grab me one of them 4x3 blocks there, them offcuts, David. Any size, mate, any size. Right, so I'm going to use that as a fulcrum. I'm going to get that under there, put it on its higher side because it's still not big enough. Is that going up? Get me another one, Davey. Cheers. Right, let's see if we can get this now. Let's wind that. Where's my... This is why I didn't tighten down the end nuts. There, look at that now, look there. Yeah, well, can you see that? That's the twist in the timber there, look. Can you see that, David? Like I say, it doesn't matter. It's just timber, but we're good there. So that, you need a good impact driver. This is a Makita DTD 171. I've got a yellow one somewhere as well. I don't know, David, the 172, an import, but it turns out it's a load of crap. So now, what I can do now, I can actually wind that down now. Yeah, as long as my nut's down. I'm going to do the same on the other side. Let's see, that one might be a bit better. Oh, so this one wants to go up rather than down. Get the nuts screw started. Might be able to lift that one. Yeah, I can do. Battery maybe? What do you reckon, David? Battery?
Yeah, this should be a full one.
It's on full, mate.
Is it?
Yeah, it's hitting a knot somewhere, isn't it? I know John's Milwaukee would have drove that straight in. You see inside that timber there, look, Davey. All that knot there, so it's hard. Obviously it's hard. So that's tied that corner in there now. What I want to do now is just drop these nuts on here. Sun's out. Again, it's like, it's a right cross between it being really nice. There's something wrong with that? No. No, it's fine. Yeah, sun's out. It comes out 1 minute, then it's raining next. David, just pass that drill behind you a bit. Right, so because they're in now, I can actually wind them down now. That one there, I'll tighten up now. The beauty of that, it actually glides up as it's tightening, so it doesn't actually hit, stop and hurt you. And you can do it almost with one hand. So that there, I'm just going to make sure that that's low enough that the floor's going to fly over that. It is, yeah, just. So you need to watch yourself with these rods. They're sticking up. They're going to take your eye out. Be careful. Right, so that's your front, that's your back, that's your side wall in, your side wall support. So there's this one to do. Davey will keep filming. I'll do that. I'll fast forward it. I'll drill the holes in this, and then I'll just show you this one going down as well, and I'll show you a little balls up I've done as well. Like I said, we always show you everything anyway. So. Okay, right, so we've got our front, this will be our front wall. That's down, that's solid, all the nuts are locked off. Side walls, nuts are locked off, we're 250mm screwed in, and the back wall is the same. Now, we've got a 250 height limit, 2,500mm height limit on a permitted build. So we can't use the timbers that you would normally use for the span sizes. So we're limited, so we're down to 4x2. And we need to take the bounce out of the building because 4x2 over that distance isn't sufficient. But with the support in the middle, it is. So, talking about 4x2, we've got to grab one. Right, there's my 4x3. If David wants to pull back just into that corner over there. Right, so I'm going to sit this way it wants to go. Those of you who have watched the video closely will be screaming to yourself and typing furiously about something I've done. I'm going to explain it in a minute now. Right, I'm looking at that nut there. That's going to be a problem for me. Chainsaw's going to kick about, the drill's going to struggle, and I'm going to struggle to iron the nut down. So I'm going to move that so that it's clear. I'm now falling on that one there. I'll move it back that little bit away. There we go. Right, so we're good. That's touching there, that's touching there. I can still use that, I can just gauge it there and see that. I can't push it any closer because obviously that rod there. That one's fine. And this one's lovely. Right, so they're my holes. And the drill them, it's falling down the hole again. David, let's have a little count on that now. That's 6 times, I think. Again, this is a Bosch bit. What I'll do is, right there, how does that work? Its wings are small than its body. I know, but right. So I've drilled them. You need to go, mate, because you're going to get chainsaw in your face in a minute, innit? And roll it over. Get rid of them burrs. Oh, that's a time. Right, chainsaw, where's that? Where's that? So that's cut out. It's another time. Right. Shoes on, don't forget your shoes. Right, because we sort of changed this a little bit different to how we normally do it. We've now got a rod in the centre. Now, the rod is going to catch on the shoe there, so what we've started doing is putting the square plate washer on there. On the self-build group, most people actually use the square plate washer, but I've got to guarantee this build for lots of years, so we like to use the shoes, although the washer is very strong. So we'll put it there because I know that that full timber will butt up to there. It'll actually sit on there, so that'll benefit that as well. On that side over there, Davey, I have forgotten to do that. So what I'm going to have to do now, if you watch our stuff, you know that I'll show you everything. So if we make a balls up, I'll show you that as well. It happens. So now I'm going to have to grind. Who's wound that on? So now I'm going to have to grind the side of the shoe off because it's going to hit the timber otherwise. Have we got grinder, Davey? Yeah. You're going to need a 9-inch grinder for cutting the top of your rods off. The blades are relatively cheap, about £3. Probably use 2 blades per job, don't I, Davey? By the time I've cut them off. Obviously, hot sparks, eyes. You need to wear eye protection. It's noisy as well, ear protection as well. Defenders here, David? Nice one. Right, problem with this time of year is it's warm, glasses steam up, you sweat, you can't see out of them. Right, I'm going to now cut the side of the shoe off, which is a bit of a ball ache, to be honest with you. Should be off now. Just going to catch a little bit there, innit? Right, what I'm going to do is just take the bottom of that. Right, it's just going to catch, like I said, I balled it up. Not to worry, it's not the end of the world. Just take a little smidge off bottom of there just to let that go in. Like I say, if you're going to build one of these, right, then there's quite a few places that sell these rods. Baps in Leeds sell the full kit. Right, Davey. Baps in Leeds sell the full kit. Now, you don't have to buy the shoes. We buy the shoes because we're putting a warranty on these jobs, and obviously there's more strength in the shape of the shoe than there is the washer. The washer is sufficient if that's the route you want to go down. It's entirely up to you. You can do what you want. Right, so that's that. That will drop into place in a second. To rush out by a chainsaw, although I would advise it, it's fantastic. But you can use a handsaw for that. You know, does the job probably a lot more precise, but precision isn't what you need. You just need to cut that end of that timber off. There, you can see, have a look over there, Davey, how that's... Sorry, Davey, this one first, look, you see, look there. So it's not catching on the shoe. It's actually sat on that a little bit, so that's fine. And just go this side of that one, see where I've cut it off. And you can see what I've done there as well. Yeah, so that'll be fine as well. So I don't, is that flush, Davey, at the top there? Does it want holding down? Can you hold it down with your foot, or do I need to? You can. Right. So again, 250 screws. Ties it all in together. Two in there. Again, watch them rods we rise. What I'm going to do with that shoe, I'm just going to kick it round a little, washer rather. Just send it round a bit, because when we drop our OSB on later, it'll catch on that. That flush? It is, it's good. Right, so all that's left to do now, for the base structure now, I've got to put some nuts on there obviously, but I need to go around and cut the rods off now, because obviously them rods are in the way. If you watch back on, I don't know what we were thinking, but if you watch right back to the beginning when me and John started this system, what we did, we didn't notch that out, and I don't know why. So we had the nut sat on the top there, and we used to drill a hole in the 20mm till flooring so that the nut would be sat still under the top of the floor, and I don't know why the hell we used to do that, but we did. And then sometimes you can't see the wood for the trees, can you? Where's Ronnie's bar, mate? It's on there. Beautiful. Right, so all that's left to do now is cut the top of the rod off. Now, you need to cut the rod off so that the rod isn't sticking up above that timber as well. Shall I cut one off and you can see? Doesn't work unless you plug it in. So when you put your flooring on here, you don't want no sticking up because it's going to hold your flooring off an uneven floor. So that there is how you want it. Cut low, cut deep. Somebody's going to say, why don't you use a washer? You don't actually need to do a washer, you don't actually need to wind it down. The weight of the building will hold it down anyway. It's just an added little thing, so I'm not going down the road of washers. So let's talk about what we've done. So we dug the holes. 200 wide. We dropped to 500 on this one because the ground's ridiculous. It's just full of stone, so we've got a good base on that. 200 wide, 500 deep. We filled with concrete mix we mixed ourselves. It was probably a 4-to-1 mix, and then we put in the M24 threaded bar. They're a metre long, they're galvanised. We then spaced it, we put 2 nuts on, and we trapped in a 10 by 100 by 100 square plate washer in there, which stops the rod pushing through the concrete under the weight of the build. So we left that, came back the next day, we wound the nuts up, got them all level. We used a level and we used a laser to level them all round. So base was ready to go then. We've then dropped on these 4x3 treated. They're actually a wall plate if you're looking to buy them. They're treated, they've gone on there. We've drilled the holes in them, we've cut out the notches, we've dropped them down, we've screwed them all together, and we've bolted them down as well, and we've screwed the sides with 2 50mm screws. So all that's left to do now is I'm going to go around, we're going to cut off the rods, and then hopefully John and Jen will be here, but if not, we're then going to drop on the 4x2 green treated joists. We're going to put them in. I'm going to show you the spacings on them, why we space them the way we do. We're going to use joist hangers and twist nails to do them as well. Right, Debbie? Right, so let's talk about the base system. Right, there's different ways of building a base. You can do a concrete pad. Concrete pad, you're going to have to dig out, you're going to have to get your stone round, you're going to have to get your concrete round, you're going to have to shutter it up, and then you're going to have to put your insulation on top of that as well. So obviously that's impacting on your 2.5. This particular job, no chance. Stairs, muck away, all that. Yeah, or you can use ground screws. Ground screws, like I said yesterday, they're expensive. Also, the ground screw companies, a few have contacted me and sent me quotes through, but what they try to do is minimise the amount of screws and use bigger timbers. Obviously, the less screws, the bigger timber section they need to span that, and obviously the 2.5's like a problem there as well. But this system now, it's millimetre perfect. Anybody can do it. You've seen how easy it is to do, and it's millimetre perfect. So if David just wants to have a look now, bear in mind this timber is rough sawn timber. Yeah, it's not fully graded. But have a look at that, David, there. Yeah. If it ain't perfect, it's practically, yeah? Right, so that's that side. I'll look at that side, David. Yeah? Let's walk around this build. So side, back. Let's just get rid of them. There. Side again. Yep. And then front. So we've wound the nuts up. Like I say, the millimetre perfect. Yeah? Right. So your base there is 100% level all the way around. It's solid. A typical build, this build itself will weigh approximately 3 tonne. Now, you can build a lot bigger. There's a lot of weight on it, but bearing in mind it's a spread load, the majority of the weight is on the front wall because you've got the doors, you've also got the roof. The next wall that's carrying a lot of weight is the back wall because you've got the weight at the back of the roof. The side walls don't carry much at all. The side, because basically you just got your side wall. And the middle just carry the weight of the room in the middle to take the bounce out of it. So it's millimetre perfect. That level now will not come into use again until we start to do our walls. And all we'll do there, I'll explain this as we go along, because the walls are rectangles and they're built the same. When a rectangle sits on the level and it's fixed as a rectangle and it's right angled on the corners and it's perfect, then that wall that way will be perfectly plumb. We'll just have to level it that way, but we won't actually level it that way, because when we put that side wall on and that side wall looks like that, when them two corners meet, because the floor is level, then that means that wall there and that wall there will be plumb, and so will that one, and we'll only actually use it on the front walls when we start to put our front one. So the only time we'll ever use a level is to actually level the nuts off, and we won't get out again until we use the front wall, and after that we won't use the level at all. So, you know, this is the advantage of this. It's simple as hell. Yeah, it's foolproof and it's perfectly level. You can't go wrong. Everything now is a case of measuring and make sure that your right angles are right, and everything will be plumb and straight. So, you know, it's failure proof. Right, what we're going to do now, we're going to have some breakfast. John and Jen are on their way with the steel as well, so we'll get that off, and then we'll crack on with the base. Get the base finished, get it insulated, get it floored. Hopefully it won't rain, and we'll start to make some walls. It's bank holiday tomorrow, which is Thursday and Friday, but I believe all of us are still going to work, and I've not spoken to the customer yet, but as long as he's okay with it, we'll be here on site. If not, everybody will be back at my house doing some work there. Right, Davey. Right, we've got the 4x3 in now, so we're now going to put the 4x2 treated in. We're going to use joist hangers to hang it. The joist hangers, they basically sit on the timber like that. I'll just show you how to fit one of these. You see that there, look, there's actually like a gap there, so that part of the joist hanger wants to be flush with there like that. So we're going to get two in there. Cue the call, why didn't you buy a PPN nailer? Well, PPN nailer, the nails are still really overly priced, and quite frankly, it's not that hard to do by hand. So I'm not going to buy one just yet, but I'll never say never. Right, these 4x2s, they want placing with a 400 spacing in, so that you get the maximum out of your insulation, because your insulation's 2.4. 400 spacing in. 400 spacing is absolutely fine, because the flooring is 22mm thick. The joints don't have to fall on them, because once you glue them it will span it and it will become one massive piece of OSB then. So John started at this end. He's put a joist hanger both sides. He's put his mark there, look. The cross indicates for him which side the timber's going to go at, and then there's no confusion there. He'll have a 400 spacing in there. Now, what we don't want is when I do this bay, for my joist hangers to clash with John's joist hangers. So I've roughly worked out where John's are going to go, and I'm starting there. I'm going to start mine at 200, and then I'll go 400 spacing, which means I'll miss John every single time. Now, sometimes, because of these shoes, your joist will hit the shoe. So over there, look, Davey, see the 200 mark there? Right, the joist, the timber there is going to hit that shoe. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do to get past that in a minute. But if you do go down the washer, the square plate washer route, then you're not going to have this issue, because obviously that timber will just sit straight on there. But that end there is the end it's going to hit the shoe at. So what I'm going to do, I'll set the saw blade to 50mm, which is the height of the shoe. So I'm just going to cut that off there, just give that a tap with a hammer, and then what will happen then, I'll just show you, that will sit down there like that, and it will go over the shoe. And what I'll do then, I'll put some 250 screws in there. So I'll show you this getting fit.
Yeah. You roughly want to measure 400 and get me a choice.
Jen, you can write a list, you can go down and do the full lot for him. Right, so there, look, it's a bad one to show you, because there's a bit missing off that wood, but that's in line with the wood. The cross indicates where the timber's going to go. And then put the twist nails in there. Twist nails are what you use for these. You can actually get screws as well that do the job. The twist nails are relatively cheap. I'll show you the twist nails. There, it's actually, it is what it says, look, it's twisted, and they're really difficult to pull out once they're in. Let me show you that side over there. Keep rolling, Davey. Impact driver, can you see it? Impact driver, got it. So, because I can't get a joist hanger on that one there, I'm now going to put a 250 screw in it instead. just going to check that my spacing is 200, because we want them nice and parallel, which it is now. There we go. I'll then drive the 250 screw in there. I'm just watching John because he's about to bend his joist hanger over, which I want to see you have. I want to show you what he's doing it and why he's doing it. It's just hitting a knot in the wood there, that's why it's not there. Drive it on. Right, we'll go look at John and see what he's doing over here. Right, just 1 minute, John. Just 1 minute. Right, so the joist hanger is too big because normally you'd have a bigger timber there, so that wouldn't be an issue, but that won't bend over now because of that. So John's going to use his aviation snips and just give that a little nip like that. Now I'm going to bend it flat. And what he's going to do now is bray them in, because what he doesn't want his 22mm flooring sticking up, so that must be flat there. But I'm going to show you another way to do that now as well. You just give us a second, mate, yeah? Right, David, just come over here. So he's used his aviation snips. I've got this framing hammer which has got practically straight claw. So I can just go like that. And then bend it over. Beat into submission. It's exactly the same thing as aviation snips, it's just one less tool to get out. Oops. Right, and to the guy who bought a bull pack and said he'd run out of twist nails, I don't think you did watch the video properly, because you nail them, you nail the bottom, you nail them for everyone you can see, you bend them over, and then you just put one in here, like that, and one in there, like that, and then that'll allow your insulation to go down. That's sufficient, that's well held. That's got 2 screws in there, that isn't going anywhere. John's has already done this. What we'll do, we're going to progress down each side, we'll meet in the middle somewhere and we'll bypass each other, and then we can jump on the insulation. Right, do you want to know? We finished putting the 4x2s in. They're either hung with joist hangers or they've got 250 screws through where they've met the shoes. We're going to cut 100mm insulation now and fit between the floor. Like I said, we're going to cut them at 400 pieces, which will give you maximum use out of a full sheet. Now, what you need to do is stop the insulation from falling through to the bottom, because all the best will in the world, you cut it as well as you want. Then this timber starts moving, it's going to fall through. So we need something to contain it and stop it falling through. So we're going to use these roofing battens. They're also treated as well. So your sheets are 1200 long, so we're going to put one approximately 100, one approximately 1100, and then another one there in that gap which will support the infill bit as well. I'm just come over here, Davey. I'm just going to use 100mm screws, and how I'm going to fix them is just to spike them through, and I'll show you what that actually means. So I'm going to send them through at an angle. See the angle, Davey? Yeah. I'm going to pull the 4x2 up and drive it in like that. That will then hold the slate like roofer's batten, whatever you want to call it. That will hold that in place, and then that will then stop the insulation from dropping through onto the floor, which will also enable you to walk on it to a certain extent. Obviously, if you walk in the middle, you are still going to push it through a bit, so try not to. But I'm going to go down, I'll do them lot. John's going to start cutting the insulation now. If you go over there, David, do you want to go over there and just watch him cutting that, and I'll explain it while he's doing it? What's happening now, right? It's rained. This insulation's wet, isn't it, John?
Yeah, it's just an
right, so what's happening now? John, just show him what you've just done. Right, so he's actually finger scribed that as a 400 section. Now what he's going to do, he's going to show you how he's going to do this. He's put his tape at 400mm. He's locked his finger on there now. He's now using the blade at the end of the tape, blade hook, whatever you want to call it, to actually score the insulation down at 400. So that's his 400 piece. Now, you see there, look, yeah? So he's locked that off. Now, look at that, look, it's wet. All that water has now gone back into his tape measure, which is going to ruin his tape measure. But the good thing about that is, his tape measure, it's a bag of crap, isn't it, John? John, do you want to explain?
My manager will buy me another.
Do you want to explain why that tape measure's crap? Tell us about the things that's wrong with it.
Right, basically this tape measure's rubbish because what? You pull it out and it doesn't go back. Now, yeah, you can press the button and it goes back, but sometimes you've only got one hand. Most times you've only got one hand and you've got something in this hand. So you let your tape measure out or something like that and you just don't go back. It's a load of rubbish. And,
right, give me that now.
Hang on, calm down. And he wants to say
I'm going to explain why.
It's magnetic on the end.
Right, give us your tape.
And everything sticks to it.
So you put it in your pocket. You put it in your pocket like so. You take it out. You've got crap. Have you got a bit in your pocket? A bit? Right, so you've got crap on it like that. Right? And also, what tends to happen, which has caught us out a few times, is it's got a bit stuck on the end like that. You've not noticed it. You've pushed your tape across the summit. You took your measurement. You put your bit of timber in. It's 10mm too short because, of course, you've accounted for the bit. So, with that in mind, take that
we
bit.
need to go Milwaukee, but he won't listen.
Milwaukee don't do a good tape measure. Stanley Fat Max with a magnetic bit. Avoid it. Right, John. What have I got yours? That's yours. That's mine. Right, Davey. That'll do us now, mate. The insulation's in now. Jem, throw us that bit of insulation, please. It's 100mm PIR. It's foil-backed insulation. It's pretty rigid, whether you use Kingspan, which is really expensive, or Enofirm, or any other one of the other brands. If you remember, I put roofing battens there, so I could there you go, I can walk on that now. Sure. If you stand on the middle, it will sink a bit, so try and avoid that. But you know, you've got a slate batten there, that's good. There's a slate batten there, and then there's one in the middle, there's one there, and so on. So that will hold that and stop that from falling down. We're going to put the flooring on now. We're using 22mm Eiger flooring. We used to use Eiger Protect, but there doesn't seem to be any available anymore. The difference between Eiger Protect and Eiger Easy Peel is the covering. The Protect has got like a painted on finish, and it's great. I think they recommend for 6 weeks or something like that. Easy Peel's not too bad. It's the same chipboard at the end of the day, it's just the covering. We've left this out and it's been swamped with water for several days and it's dried out absolutely fine in a couple of days. So don't overthink it, don't worry too much about it. We are also going to use polyurethane glue. Now, when we started, we used to use Everbuild 5-minute polyurethane glue because it went off really quick. By the time we'd finished the floor. What is it, mate? Oh, John, it's Northern Building Plastics. John, make sure it's not dragged off and scratched and all that, do you know what I mean? Yeah. Right, so on this job, you see the doors arrived this morning. All the plastic now and the roofing has arrived as well. Express by Falls, like, ordered the doors Monday, they're here now and it's Wednesday, so that's good. And also if you use the promo code as well, you will get 5% off. Right, back to the glue. We used Everbuild 5-minute polyurethane glue. It dried quickly, we get rid of it really quickly and it was fine. And then Toolstation decided for whatever reason to hike the price right up, and it's nearly a £20 odd a bottle now. So we stopped using that, and plus their stock levels are really crap as well. This stuff is the same polyurethane glue, isn't 5 minutes though. That's from Selco's, so it doesn't go off as quick. The issue with that is we'll have this floor down, we'll want to start building walls. The best place to build your wall is on the floor. The walls are going to get covered in the wet glue. It's not the end of the world, but sometimes when you put this wall up, by the time the glue's formed up and gone off, it's on the wall, you've got lumps on it, so you're going to have to go back and scrape it off. Like I say, it's not the end of the world, it is what it is. Everbuild put their prices up, or Toolstation did, one or the other, so that's then pushed us towards this, because I'm not paying £20 for a bottle of glue, that was £13 not so long ago. Anyway, I suppose that's the Yorkshire in me coming out. Right, flooring, 22mm flooring. Right, so what I'm going to do, I am going to look down there first. I'm going to look down that timber, it's more or less straight enough anyway, yeah? Right, so I'm going to get that in a position there where I want it. And then I'm going to stick a couple of screws in there. We're using 60mm screws. Yeah, David, would you like to tell them what kind of bit that is on there? Can you see it? A PZ2. So we have an issue with the PZ2 bits. So they tend to snap quite a lot, no matter what brand we use. So I'm going to put a screw in there. I'm going to look down there, get that into the position I want it, and I'm going to put a screw in there as well. Right, what I'm also going to do and all, I'm going to get my Sharpie out. Other brands are available, in fact they're Tracer ones, they're £1 at Tool Station, they're good quality, but they'll probably hike the price of them up as well. And I'm going to mark where the centre of the 4x2 is. The reason why I'm going to do that is because when I put my next board on there, I need to know where the timber is. But when I screw this, I'm going to put 4 screws in each timber. But what I'm going to do, I'll just put one here. 2, and that's number 3. I'm not going to put number 4 in. The reason why I'm not going to put number 4 in is when I come to put this sheet in, if I put that screw in there, it's going to pull that floor down to that 4x2. It's going to be tight. I'm going to struggle to get that in. I'm going to have to bray it into submission. If I don't put that screw in, I can pop that in with ease, give it a little tap, get it nice, and then I can put a screw there, and off I go again. Same, down that way anyway, yeah. Right, so that first board is in. You can see it's a tongue groove floor. Now, you can see it's over there. It's 22mm. When that's glued and the next board is in and the other board is there, that joint all glued is one full sheet. So that can float over there. It's not an issue. Do not worry about it. It's 22mm flooring. If you're going down the 18mm route, then you might want to land on the timbers, and then the 400 spacings is not going to work. It has to be 400 centres. So it's all about economics as well, and practicality, and 22mm flooring will span that different distance once it's glued. So what will happen now? I'll shout that measurement to John. John will cut that board. The board will get fit there. The offcut of the board will then get fit here, and then we'll work so on. So every time we get there, the offcut from that side will drop over to this side and it will go along. We will put 4 screws in every board on every timber. The reason why we use screws is we don't use nails. You could use nails, it'd be a lot quicker, right? But the floor will squeak, and it tends to squeak, and we don't want it to squeak. So we use the screws, pulls the floor down to the timber, and there is no squeak. John's here, look now, turn around, Davey. John's got the rubber. What do you reckon, estimate weight, John? 45. No, that's how old you are. How much weight? He reckons about 45 kilos. John, what we're going to do, right, we don't want the rubber to get damaged. I know you've got it in and it's heavy, John, right? But what I'm going to do, I'm going to get some insulation to put the rubber on so that we don't risk it getting any impregnations. We don't want it to get pregnant. Right, throw that on there, John. So what we'll do, that's on there. It's not going to get any like spikes, nails, prickles, anything through that, no hold. That'll be good. We'll put a bit of plastic over that in a minute to keep it dryish as possible. And the rest of the stuff is there as well if Davey turns around. That's our roofing stuff all arrived. So what we're going to do now, they're going to carry on with that roofing, bring the roofing round, go to the fascia, the trim and the rubber roofs, and I'm going to carry on with the flooring. Right, Davey. Right. All right, so let's have a look at this Aga Easy Peel. Right, when these boards go together, David, come here. When these boards go together, I want to make sure they've gone together properly. Now, the problem with the Easy Peel is the Easy Peel itself, look, it's covering the joint. See that? So you can't actually see that it's gone together properly. So what I'm going to do, and I shouldn't have to do this, it's right pain in the ass, is just pull it back. There, so that I know when that board then has gone in there, I know my joint is good. Right, so polyurethane glue. If this stuff goes on your hands, you've either got to use solvent remover to get it off or let it wear off, which takes ages. So what I'm going to do now is get that into position. I'm using a bit of the 4x3 there that we already had. I can just see the edge of that board there, so I'm just going to get it into where I think it's right and just tap it home. Bouncing out there, isn't it, Davey? Jen, just come put your foot on this, will you? Has that gone in, Davey? Yeah. It don't matter, Jen, sorry. Yeah, we're in. Yeah. Right, so I'm in. Right, it's really, really important. You see there, look, Davey? You see, look, yeah? So my boards are in line now. The boards have to be in line for, that gap's opened up there now, for the next row to go down successfully. Right, I feel that that's getting somewhere now. Once you've got your first row in, it's a doddle. but right, like I say, you see you can't actually see the joint, can you? Right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my level and I run my level down there. Look, can you see it's not right, Davey? Yeah. Still not right. You see that there, look? Yeah? Right, see that tongue's longer than that tongue, that's the way it's been manufactured, but you see the lip is right, so it's important that you get that part right. I don't want to put my level on that glove, but I'm going to have to. Right, there, look, can you see that? Yeah? That's straight, is that? So that's all right now, yeah? Right, I'm going to go for that. Rub that glue off on that grass. Right, so that's your first two boards. We'll get a couple of screws in this now, it'll hold it. And don't forget, you need to go down and mark where your timbers are. Oop, no good. Centre at timbers like that, and then once your next board goes in, you know where you're going to fix to. So, what we're going to do now, I'm going to carry on screwing, carry on gluing, bish bash bosh, straight away, all the way across, get the floor down, and then we can start on some walls. You start where you want. Right, the flooring is down, the glue is still wet obviously, but as I spoke about before, we're just going to build the wall anyway and pop it up. What we're going to do, we're going to do back wall first. So you've got the bottom plate there, it's 4x2, it's CLS. We're going to put 3 nails in each one. There's 4x2 CLS for the top plate as well, and the studs are all cut to the same height. Like I say, 3 nails in each one. When we've got the wall on them, then we'll OSB it. We're not going to put the rower noggins in because it aids racking the wall and it aids putting the insulation in, not by putting them in first. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to get these nailed up and then we'll get some OSB on it. Jan, can you see if the OSB is 120, please? John, do you want me to start this side then? What? That happens sometimes. That'll just have to get driven with a nail. Driven with a hammer even. Been over with a nail, would it? Right, we're looking for approximately centre of them 400 centre marks that we put down. We're going away now from using 400 spacings and we're reverting back to 400 centres because the plasterboards and the OSB are 1.2 and they fall on the centres at 400 obviously. But I'll explain it all as I go along. You can see there, I've got my hand away further than the length of the nail, so if the nail comes out at any point, it's not going to go into my hand. Hammer, David. Okay, we good, yeah? Right, so that's the wall nailed up. Right, let me draw a little picture. The wall at the moment, I'd imagine, let's exaggerate it. I'd imagine the wall is wrapped like that, but obviously we want the wall square like that. So we're going to use now the OSB sheets, which tend to be on the bottom of there. We're going to use them to square the wall, but I'll show you how we're going to do that. Stop it there, David. So if the wall is wrapped, and obviously we want to make it square, because with it being square, when it sits on our level floor, then the walls will stand up plumb. So the boards there, generally, I mean, we've never had them where they've not, but they're a right angle, they're square. David, did you see that?
90 degrees.
That there, look. That's 90 degrees. Sit that on there, so it's nice and square, yeah? So that there is a right angle. So if we nail our wall to that shape of that timber, we will also create the wall as a right angle, which will then mean when the wall stands up, it will be plumb. What we want to do as well, we're going to mark our 400 centres, which will enable us to nail to the timbers, even though we can't see them, which is obviously what we're aiming to do. So we're going to mark them up. John, what's the length of the wall that we were cutting at? The 85 inches, was it? Yeah. Right, I know that we're going to cut these boards at 85 inches as well. What I'm also going to mark as well is the centre of this bottom timber. So that, again, we can nail that without any nails coming through the bottom, because obviously that'll hold the wall off the floor. So there you go. Now we're going to nail. We know not to nail past that, and that's where it'll get cut off. Right, so we know it's a right angle. So we're going to start on the corner and get that board so it's dead on the corner there, which it is. Happy with that. We're going to use 63mm ring cut nails into the pads load. I am 350 plus. Right, so that's that. What we're going to do now is go down the length there and make sure that that's right as well. So I'm level there, so I'm going to put a fix in there. I'm going to go up there. There's a little bit of a bow in there. John, can you just send this wall to me? It don't matter, got it. Right, so I'm going to pull this timber out like that. And then I'm going to nail all the way up there. Okay, so that's nailed to that leg. Now what we need now, right, it's in a good position there so I can show you. You see there, look, Davey? That board is hanging over that frame. That means that wall, see it, is racked. So what we want to do is get that wall so it's flush all the way along there. And nail that. And that means that part of the wall is a right angle. What I'm going to do now, look, I'm just going to kick that across a little bit. Nail in there. Right, I can I have a rack of nails, please? Thought you'd got to get one then, John, out of your pocket. Oh, right. Yeah, just what I... So that's nailed there. I'm now going to nail down that line. Right, so that part of the wall is perfectly in a right angle. So what we'll do now, we'll get this next sheet, we'll mark the 400s and we'll do exactly the same. So, because that's a square, John, can you get that corner up there, right? Are you good there? There, right. So, John will put a nail in that corner now. I'll nail, pulling that board tight to there, and a nail up there. And then what John will do, look, can you see how the wall isn't flush there? He's going to kick that wall. There, look. And now, that part of the wall is now square. So as long as we keep on doing that all the way along, the wall will be square. And when we stand it up on our level base, thank you, sir. When we stand it up on our level base, it will be plumb.
Thank you, good man.
I know, I missed him, didn't I? Do you want to pull this polythene over here, please? It's raining, John.
Let me just try getting a little, man.
Because it started raining.
Again.
You can just see it, can't you?
There. Look, as good as you're going to get, bro.
It's there. Yeah. Do you want to mount this one before we slide it across? Right, you can stop it there, Davey.
I'll tell you what, it's working the treat like. David, can you come and hold it for us?
Jen, get out of the rain. They've always speed the wall now, so that's a rectangle. So when it sits on the level base, it'll be level. The boards are too long. That's where the bottom of the frame is, but we want to cut them off so that they just hang past the 4x3 at the bottom. So they will just hang past the 4x3 then. We're going to save them though because they'll come in handy for when we're trimming over our steel. trimming over the steel and under the doors as well. So we'll get this into a position where it's going to stand up okay. Stuck to the floor a little bit there. I'm just going to check there's no nails sticking out the bottom, which there isn't. Are you right there, John? You have to send it to me a bit, mate. It's not. There.
Am I over it?
Yeah, you might trap on it, you might not, I don't know. Right, David, just come in and have a look at this. Right, so as the wall stands up, obviously that's going to sit there, but then the OSB is going to drop down there and it will butt up onto them shoes there. That wall will hang over there a little bit, but that's fine. There's more of the wall sat on there. So what we do, put that in a position where we stand that up and that OSB should miss that floor and then that will stand there. Otherwise it's going to drop onto the floor, which isn't the end of the world, so still be able to catch it. Right, John. Jen? Right, we haven't, it's just rained, so we haven't put breathable membrane on the back of this wall. The reason is because it is rained and the wall's wet and we don't want to trap the water in the wall. I'm good there, you good, John? Perfect. Right, John, your first shoe. Davey, come behind here.
On the shoe, yeah, I'm on the shoe.
You're on it, yeah? Debbie, can you see there? Look down there, look. Can you see the OSB touching the shoe? Yeah? Is it too dark? Right, the OSB is touching the shoe, so that wall then is now in the right position. I'm just looking down that and it's nice and straight. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stick some screws in there to get it held whilst John and Jen hold it. Have we got a torque bit for the 100? One minute, I found mine in my pocket. So we're gonna nail it and screw it down, but at the moment a couple of screws will hold that, and because it isn't windy it isn't going to fall, so we're going to use the torque screws. They're 100mm torques. They're great, these screws, because you can take them out and reuse them time and time again. Are you good, John? Are you good, Jen?
The end's perfect, so I'll go give it a middle.
You won't go, John, it's fine in the middle. Yeah, just look down it straight. Right, so they can let go of that wall now and it will hold itself. What we'll do there, we'll get the nail gun now and we'll go down, we'll nail that wall to the floor. We'll use 90mm nails on that. Are you loading up, Jen? Right, so so because the floor is flat and level, and that we've now created a right angle by using the sheets to square the frame up. In all essence, that wall there should be plumb or virtually plumb. Which it is, Davey, can you see that? I don't know. Yeah. Right, so what will happen now, that wall there isn't going to go anywhere. If it was a windy day, we'd put some braces on there, but because we're going to do this side, we're doing this side next, John, yeah? Because we're doing this side, when the two sides are locked into each other, that right angle there will create strength. If we don't have time, what we'll do then, we'll put a diagonal brace on there like that, which will support that side of the wall as well. But like I said, the reason why we've not put membrane on the back there is it's just rained and the wall's wet, so we're going to let it dry off before we membrane that, which we'll do tomorrow. So we're going to do exactly the same thing now with the side walls. Get the side walls built, get them up, and that'll be probably call it for a day. What John has done, he's cut his timber. He's cut his OSB rather. Right, let me get on the track. Right, he's cut his OSB. Come over here, Davey. Right, so that OSB is 90mm bigger. The reason why it's 90mm bigger is when this wall stands up, it'll slide past there and the 90mm, the extra bit, will get fixed to the side of that timber there. That's the theory anyway, John, isn't it? Pull it that way, John, and then I can cut the bottom off. Throw us a rack, Davey, while you sat there, mate. On behind you, look. Oh, go on then. Where did I start? Did I go up or down? Down. Yeah. I think I missed with that one, John. Have a look, quick look. I thought I could hear it. But not. Right, so I'll now cut the bottom. Johnny, you don't need to do that. A sec, guys. It's going to rain again, look. I'm now going to cut the bottom off. Right, on this occasion we're not going to membrane it because it's raining and the boards are wet, so we're going to let them dry out overnight and we'll membrane it tomorrow. What we normally do is membrane and put the first layer of slate lats on it now. Are you good with nails, John, top and bottom? Right, what he's going to check for now is that I've not misnailed it and the nails have fired through, because when the nails sit on there it'll hold the wall up, which obviously isn't what we want. You need to now go around and make sure you've got no glue, which is going to hold the wall up as well. Nothing in the way. And then we'll be able to stand this wall up. And if Davey, where can we put you, Davey? Let's put you over here. Stand on here, Davey, and see if maybe better on here. There, you'll be able to see it sliding there, I think, Davey. Right. So that's the side wall. Again, we squared it in exactly the same manner. The floor is level, so it should sit up all right. We're now going to spin the floor around like that. Well, you've fallen off, John, you've fallen off. There. Right, David, can you see? Jen, come here a minute.
Liam, don't jam it, 'cause I'm going to put my hand on. Just
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Just grab hold of the wall. Has it gone in? Yeah. So that's the idea behind the 90mm OSB. David, just come round there as well.
That's what makes it fun.
Well, no, it's got all of it now. So that's gone in there, and that wall, because that one's plumb. Sorry, that one's a rectangle and it's square. When that one sits tight up that, and that's butted in at the bottom, that'll mean that's plumb and that's plumb as well. Day 3, back walls up, side walls up. We haven't membraned them simply because it's rained. The walls got wet while we were building them, and we'll let them dry off. There was a time when we used to panic about this floor and put bisqueen down over it. Ega Protect was no problem at all, but even this easy peel, we've left it quite a while, weeks, haven't we, John, with rain on and stuff like that. Peeled it off, yeah, it's been a little bit damp somewhere on the joints, but it's always dried off, no problem at all. So I won't worry too much about that. So tomorrow we'll get the front wall up, we'll get the steel in, which is down there. We'll get the roof on, and if the weather's good, we might even get it rubbered. Do you reckon? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, soft and rubbered, yeah. So that's it. That's day 3. So if you'd like to watch tomorrow, I know it's bank holiday, but we're still going to work, and Friday as well, please like and subscribe. Yeah.